dramatic, but quiet, gentle, and woven into the very walls around you. In the 19th century, millions of people did exactly that, resting, working, and sleeping inside rooms decorated with one of history's most beautiful and most dangerous trends, arsenic-colored pigments. This is a story about how ordinary wallpaper, clothing, and household decor slowly poison people without them ever noticing. A story so subtle and quiet that it almost feels like it was designed to be forgotten. In the mid-1800s, a particular shade of green exploded into popularity. Scheeles green and Paris green, both containing arsenic, were unlike any color people had seen before. They glowed with a deep, fresh, almost hypnotic green, perfect for elegant wallpaper, fashionable dresses, children's toys, and even fake flowers arranged proudly in living rooms. Entire sitting rooms were covered in these vibrant green wallpapers, sometimes layered with thick patterns of vines, leaves, and exotic shapes. Homes lit by gas lamps made the green shimmer even more, making it the centerpiece of Victorian interior design. But as beautiful as these pigments were, they came with a strange, almost invisible danger. When the wallpaper aged, when the weather turned humid, or when the fireplace warmed the room, the pigments began to crumble ever so slightly. Tiny particles too small to see floated into the air. They weren't dramatic, they didn't smell strange, they didn't cause immediate collapse. Instead, they worked slowly, quietly, and constantly. People breathed these particles in throughout the day and especially at night, when the rooms were closed up and still. Imagine someone living in such a room. They go to sleep every night surrounded by these brilliant green walls. At first, they might feel nothing more than a mild headache that fades by morning. Then a little fatigue, a bit of nausea that they blame on something they ate. Maybe their skin becomes irritated whenever they sit for too long in their favorite upholstered chair, the one dyed the same perfect green. Meanwhile, the wallpaper continues to shed arsenic dust so slowly that no one even thinks to question it. Victorian homes were poorly ventilated, so the dust lingered in the air and settled onto carpets, sheets, and furniture, waiting to be stirred up again with the slightest movement. And it wasn't just walls. Green dresses, especially those worn by fashionable women, carried even more pigment than wallpaper. When the fabric swished back and forth, it released tiny flakes of arsenic powder. Dressmakers sometimes developed sores on their hands from sewing with the material. Women who wore those gowns for long evenings of social events sometimes returned home with irritated skin, sore throats, or unexplained exhaustion symptoms dismissed as stress or simple overexertion. Even the artificial flowers that decorated parlors and hats were dusted with arsenic pigment. Over time, they slowly disintegrated, letting powder fall onto shelves, into carpets, and onto the hair and clothing of people nearby. Children played with toys painted with the same pigment. They carried them around, touched them constantly, and breathed in whatever small amount drifted off. For infants and toddlers who spent most of their time indoors, the exposure was even more concentrated. Yet, no one suspected the beautiful green items that filled their homes. Illness was blamed on bad air, seasonal sickness, or weak constitution. Doctors of the era didn't yet understand chronic, low-level poisoning, so they treated symptoms one by one, never realizing that the entire home environment was contributing to an ongoing decline in health. It wasn't until a handful of early scientists and chemists began investigating strange household illnesses that the truth slowly came to light. Some researchers noticed that families living in heavily wallpapered green rooms seemed to get sick more often. Others discovered that damp wallpaper containing arsenic could actually host microscopic fungi that converted the pigment into arsine gas, an especially toxic compound that could fill a room quietly, especially at night. This gas had no dramatic smell or color. It simply drifted through bedrooms as people slept, turning rest into slow exposure. But even when the danger became clearer, many consumers resisted the idea. The color was too popular, too iconic, too deeply embedded in Victorian aesthetics. Green wallpaper made rooms feel fresh and alive, and green dresses were status symbols. For years, people continued living among these quiet hazards. Gradually, very gradually, public pressure, scientific warnings, and painful tragedies pushed manufacturers to abandon arsenic greens. Safer pigments eventually replaced them. Homes were redecorated, fashions changed, and the world moved on, leaving behind a forgotten chapter of history in which beauty and poison were intertwined so perfectly that few ever realized the danger until long after it had worked its way into daily life. A color that looked alive but slowly made people weaker. Walls that seemed comforting but quietly released danger. A fashion trend so subtle that it took decades to understand.